Hello everyone and welcome to another video. I am super excited because today we have a very special guest, Eva Kaili. She is a member of the European Parliament and she represents the blockchain space at the European Parliament. Also with artificial intelligence and other emerging technologies. So I'm very excited to have her today on the channel. Hello Eva, how are you?
Hi, Catalina. Thank you so much for having me, and congratulations for starting a very much needed, I would say, series of blogs and interviews to understand better the technology and the benefits of this technology, because I think now we are more ready also to talk about it.
Yes, no, thank you. I'm excited and for the audience to get to know you, your work, and the goals that you are aiming to achieve with the European Parliament and you personally as well. So for the people who don't know you yet, let's do a mixture. Let's do a mixture between an introduction of yourself and how you end up at the European Parliament and working with blockchain.
Okay. So I think everything is connected actually. Since I'm from Greece, I'm elected in the European Parliament with the Socialists and Democrats. And my whole campaign was based on social media. So I worked a lot. I was a newscaster at a TV channel, but this helped me a lot to understand the power of the social media. So basically, I got involved in 2014 with European politics and understanding the power of technologies. I tried to see how we can solve the problems we were facing, especially in my country. You know, I come from a country that austerity hit us very, very hard. And the recipe that was prepared for us was not working actually. Instead of giving more space for reforms, we were suffocating from austerity. So I thought since over centralization and how banks control our savings and watching what happened in Cyprus. So observing how citizens slept on Friday and woke up on Monday with their savings gone because their bank shut down was really shocking to all of us. And I think this is the point where I thought that we should explore with new technologies how we can remove this intermediation and this and weaken the centralization of not controlling our own assets, our own deposits and savings.
Mm-hmm.
So this is how I got involved with blockchain. So I heard about Bitcoin especially, and then I called for an initiative. So I thought that the parliament should have immediately an opinion on this technology, and a positive one, because the cryptocurrency started with a bad reputation for hackers or like crypto anarchists, but it's an amazing technology, and the parliament is actually very open and positive and supported the blockchain first resolution that I initiated. So this is how it all began.
Excellent. And so now that we're talking about the parliament, what are the goals that you want to achieve, let's say in the next 2 years, and the activities that you implement to achieve the goals within the European Parliament?
Okay, so actually we are constantly working in trying to create laws that will include the use of blockchain technology. And now with actually the pandemic, we accelerated more fast the need to remove the barriers we have for cross-border payments, transactions, but also for supply chains that be uninterrupted. So when you order safety equipment, you don't listen the news and you say, oh, it's blocked in Germany, while Italy was needing safety equipment for coronavirus and masks for the doctors. So supply chains can be uninterrupted if you can remove a lot of the disintermediation, to disintermediate it actually. So we're trying to work now in each and every aspect that we can use and benefit from these technologies. So blockchain is what I initiated, but now I would say the big hype is the realization of artificial intelligence that we already have. It's a technology that an algorithm can get a huge amount of data and be able to find patterns and come to conclusions, decisions, solutions. And if you implement that into a robot, then you can have actually real artificial intelligence. But still, the metrics and the politics about these technologies, they have to be set by politicians, and we have to make it right in order to help citizens to complement their work and not to control them, not to control all their transactions, not to avoid mass surveillance, because you can do that with cryptocurrencies. You can follow each transaction forever. You can never delete it. And with artificial intelligence, you could actually discriminate or exclude citizens based on their ranking. We see that happening in some countries. So what we try to do now is to explore the potential, but also the negative consequences of these technologies, and use it in the best possible way.
Excellent. You have already answered one of my other questions. My question was why you decided to get into artificial intelligence and how you're applying it to your work. So I am not very high educated about artificial intelligence yet. However, I am planning to do so, and I would like to hear your opinion. So they are with blockchain and AI, they are not compatible. Is that correct? So you work with both technologies separately, or how are you trying to combine them?
Actually, you can combine all the technologies. So artificial intelligence is basically an algorithm that you ask the questions. And for example, if I have a lot of data, first you have to decide what's the problem you want to solve. Let's say I want to decide which people I will insure with a better ranking and which people with a worst ranking. So I get the information from their Google searches and their Facebook, and I see if they have a healthy life. If they don't Google search chronic diseases, then I can give them a better ranking. This is something it's an example that actually we're trying to avoid. We don't want the companies to use the data that they can get to decide if you should get more expensive insurance in order to not discriminate citizens. So we cannot use it against them. But this is something that AI could actually do. Blockchain, what can do is to have a more decentralized. You can use blockchain to use cryptography to ensure the trustworthiness of your transactions, of your wallet, of your data, control them, be able to see when they were opened, your data, when they were, who saw them, and you can revoke access. You have the key, and if anything changes in the way things work in this community, then you have to know, and they have to take your permission. So the combination could be, I will give you an example. You have a contract to deliver something, and you set it on blockchain, so you have some safety checks, and you can say that if the safety checks are not fulfilled, then apply some fees or immediately pay me for this delay. So this could be an automation of a smart contract. So it's using intelligence, and it uses also blockchain to track uh, for every safety or checkpoint, to track that your order is there and to make sure there is no duplication, nobody will lose it, and you can identify your object wherever it is. So these are technologies that you can combine, and there you can also have robots that then they will make sure they will order your boxes, and you can have drones to send them to you. So the convergence of all this technology could actually benefit us in amazing ways. We've seen that like in science fiction movies or Netflix movies, but we have the technology. So now we have the creativity to see how we can bring them together and achieve great things, make things more easy, more safe, make sure people will trust their networks and the platforms and their applications.
Yeah.
So this is what we're trying to achieve, and to avoid all the negative consequences.
Yeah, fantastic. So in terms of, because you mentioned this before, in terms of regulations within within the European Union, how far are we developed, yeah, so to speak, in terms of regulations? Have we made enough progress? Are we advancing fast enough? Do we need more people doing that job? What do you think?
Well, first, let me say that since you understand blockchain, AI is more easy to understand because
Okay.
it's an algorithm and you make the decision of the metrics. In the parliament, we have to create support and to make sure that most of politicians and like my colleagues will understand the core of the technology of these technologies in order to properly legislate and not to stifle innovation. So until now, for example, even for me, it's not very easy to understand how the interoperability can work and how the scalability of blockchain can work, and if it's easy to use it with AI, or if all the restrictions that blockchain also can bring will make it more difficult. The philosophy and the architecture of its operation, of its application, it's still an issue that we need to discuss and understand better. I would say, though, we are moving fast to try to categorize the crypto assets. So I'm expecting a legislation after summer. So due to the coronavirus, we delayed a bit. And we definitely gonna have some to expand some pilots we already have and to extend the experimenting with blockchain projects for supply changes, for certification, to make sure to remove a bit of like the bureaucracy we have in Brussels, and imagine if we could have like identity on blockchain, so we could avoid duplication of identifications, but at the same time we can have portability, we can use them cross-border and make sure we control our data, and especially if it includes the identity, medical data or biometrics, they will not be misused. So we are testing the technology and we are ready to move a bit, a bit more. So we're expecting to have also the file on data governance and the data sets, how you can use them in order to avoid some problems with GDPR. So we try to grade properly the data sets so you can use some data. What are the sensitive data that you cannot use, you cannot put them on the block, and what are the ones you can use, how you can reward or pay citizens for the use of their data. So these are the things that we're going to try to agree and legislate after summer. I think it's going to be very exciting, and we have also other aspects of cybersecurity. We're going to try to proceed, and artificial intelligence. We already have. I worked on the report the last year on an ethical framework.
Okay.
So we'll try to see that now that by design we can achieve something in Europe, but but at the same time, the problem that we have in Europe, I might say that we try to balance safety and privacy. We try to make sure we will have protection of our data, but at the same time we will give access to companies to data so that they can be innovative and competitive with other countries. This is the balance we are trying now to achieve.
That is interesting. That is super interesting. I'm curious about how this is all going to evolve after the summer, and hopefully you will be able to achieve all these goals this year. But if not, next year for sure. So Eva, going back to blockchain, or maybe I will divide this question into two. What has it been your biggest challenge, you as a person, as a professional in the let's say in the technological space, and what has it been your biggest challenge as a woman? If you have something to share, or maybe not, maybe everything was actually the other way around. Maybe it has helped you in the past.
But just by being younger than your colleagues, it helps a lot because you bring a new perspective in politics, and I think you understand that you can you feel more comfortable with new technologies. It's your everyday life, and you have to help people of like elderly people to understand it and take advantage of these new technologies. So I think being young in politics helped me a lot to bring a new perspective,
Mm.
and it also created the same thing was also not easy because you had to convince that your understanding of these technologies and the potential that you see is actually something that's transforming our lives now. So funny thing, but the pandemia has actually opened the eyes of everybody into this transformation that we're living in this digital era, that there are no borders, that we have to gather data, that we are so interconnected,
Mhm.
and that access to this data is crucial in order to find easier the patterns and to understand what the best treatment could be, or what is the cure, that the treatment that works or not. So I think entering politics when everybody thought that they shouldn't, that politics are like, boring and that you cannot change things, was really important. And at the same time, you have to definitely be decisive and not to be, let me say, not to feel that criticism or that your age or your gender or anything can keep you behind, because these are the stereotypes that exist actually.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
think it's also my character, and probably you have the same the same understanding, that you have to be not just decisive, but you have to be a bit, let's say, to react to everybody that wants you to not participate enough because you're not experienced enough. You bring something different to the table.
Yeah.
And this is maybe even why I got blockchain AI, because I thought that this is a perspective that doesn't exist, and these are amazing tools that we can use. And it takes hard work, and with hard work you can get through all the resistance that is there in the traditional system, and make them listen to you at least, and then start changing things. So at least in the end you give options and alternatives to citizens, and they can choose what they're going to use, if they find it useful or not. But you have added something.
Excellent. That was a great answer, Eva. Bring more value than anyone else, and you will always have an advantage in any area, even educating people for free. That was amazing. So I think this is my last question. Um, do you have any specific projects outside of the European Parliament that you are very excited about, and why, if you have any? With related to blockchain, but you can also tell me with AI.
So yes, actually for me now it's like kind of like both, because even smart contracts, they can benefit by blockchain, but you need to use AI in order to achieve the maximum benefits of this technology. So what I'm trying to do is try to help a bit the startups and the academia and entrepreneurs and also the business sector to get together and create like an ecosystem where they can benefit each other, and they will have access to this kind of information, funding, and also be able to grow in Europe, because we will bring them together. So this is something I'm trying to do. There are European projects and funding that people don't know of,
Mm.
and that I'm very proud that they exist. But now I'm trying to make sure that, for example, in my country, the best players, the stakeholders will come together to create an environment where people will have some mentoring. They will understand how they can use these technologies to create value, to create more jobs, and in the end to create a better experience for the citizens
Mhm.
and the people. So this is what I'm trying to do, and I'm very happy because I have like a team of people that they believe that this is like a mission to do something nice and good, and at the same time for us is really a lesson of what we have to fix in politics in order to move from making decisions into implementing it and see and make things happen, to create this like new value, modernize the system, and remain
Yeah.
relevant with the new reality. in the digital era. So if we could also have, this ecosystem, then we could connect with your country, with other countries, because in the digital era there are no borders. And instead of duplicating our work, we can complement each other and do great things.
Yeah, that is super exciting. Thank you so much, Eva. I don't want to make it too long, but I look forward to see the evolution of all these projects. Maybe an update from you in, let's say, 6 months, or maybe next year when this is all over and we can finally build that momentum again and see how these amazing emerging technologies will affect all of us in a positive way, and how we can balance and manage the negative sides in society. I'm very happy to have you here, and thank you so much for your time. And I look forward to have
Thank you
you
for having me.
in the future. Have a good day. Ciao. Thank you, everyone. Have a good
Thank
day.
you so much. Bye.